First item on the agenda is the appropriations for rideshare transportation enhancement trust in the amount of $17,734.60. Mr. Gingrich, please.
Thank you. This is a request to authorize the use of grant funds that we received in the amount of $17,734.60 for the purchase of 4 fixed and 1 portable radar boards for traffic control.
Councilors, any questions of Mr. Gingrich? Anyone on the committee? Anyone not on the committee? Please feel free.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Gingrich, could you just explain to us how, just how this works, 20 cents per ride with the, is it Uber or Uber? I always say it wrong. Lyft and Uber. I always say Uber or Uber. I can never get it right. Uber and Lyft. Could you explain to us just the formula and how that works? How we get the 20 cents per ride?
So as far as I know, that the rides that were initiated in Peabody through both of those services are charged that additional 20 cents. It's reported somehow through the state, and they release those funds to us.
So these rideshare programs have to register with the state, and then they have to, so this is fascinating to me, so then they have to report out how many times they came to Peabody, and then that's how we get 20 cents per
share of it. Share of it, yep.
Anybody else familiar with this? This is the first I'm learning of it, so.
Captain Richards might be, but he's kind of...
I'm only asking because it's fascinating to me, and I'd like to learn, take the opportunity to learn about it. Captain Richards, can you explain the process by which we get 20 cents per share by these Lyft and Uber? How do they know?
Oh, I don't know exactly how the program works. I was notified that this money was available for the purpose that we asked for it, but I'm not sure how the funds were derived. I believe it was through that program that you spoke about, but I don't know the intricate parts of that program.
All right, we're certainly not going to say no to receiving monies, so I'll look into it at a later date. Thank you so much.
Council begin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to Mr. Gingrich. Can these signboards or these speed detection boards be purchased directly out of this fund, or do we need to transfer into another location?
We just need authorization to spend out of this account.
Okay, so this is not a transfer
Not
request.
a transfer.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm ready to make a motion if there's no other comments.
Thank you, Council McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move to approve the appropriation request in the amount of $17,734.60 for the use of traffic control signage, 4 fixed and 1 portable radar board from the Rideshare Transportation Enhancement Trust, account number 250-000033835. So moved.
You've heard the motion by Council McGinn. Any comments? The only thing he didn't add was thank whoever the grant god was to give us the free money. We'll take it. Any comments? None? Being none, roll call.
Councilors McGinn,
Yes.
Rozignol,
Yes.
Manning Martin,
Yes.
Gould,
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Second item on the agenda is to accept Mass General Law 32B, Section 20, Other Post-Employment Benefits Liability Trust Fund, the OPEB Fund. Mr. Gingrich.
Thank you. So this is a 2-step process to reserve funding for health insurance for our retirees. First, we have to accept this chapter, and second, we have to, as recommended, name the city treasurer as the trustee and execute a trust document. Once that's done, and at the same time, we're asking to transfer $250,000 from our employer health trust to start the fund and establish this OPEB trust. This trust fund is restricted solely for health insurance, can't be used for anything else, and it can't be attached by any creditors of the city.
Questions by councilors? Councilor Rosano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one statement and then one question. Thank you for bringing this forward. I know that Moody had recommended us establish a trust similar to this so that we can increase our bond rating where our cash reserve has started to be a little bit less than what they would like. So I appreciate that. My only question is I heard you say that you're going to start with the $250,000 transfer. How will that be funded going forward from there?
I think we're going to need to look at it on an annual basis. I initially thought maybe we did it at budget time. It would probably be more appropriate right around the time we do tax classification, because at that point in time is when we have our free cash certified. So depending on the level of free cash, that'd probably be a good time to do it.
Other councilors? Councilor McGinn?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mean, I think this is a great move, addressing the long-term problem that we have of unfunded pension liability. It's a very small bite initially here, but it's a start, which is probably more than a lot of other municipalities are doing. So I think it's a good move and prudent, as pointed out by Councilor Rossignol, in terms of the impact that it may potentially have long-term, beneficial impact that it may have long-term on our bond rating. So I'm very supportive of this move. I guess procedurally, I'd like to know what we're looking for tonight. Are we looking for a motion to adopt the trust as written? Is that the request?
It would be a two-phase thing. One, we have to adopt the trust. Then they establish the trust, and the second vote would be to transfer the funds from the Employer Health Trust to the OPPE. EB. So if you'd like to make two motions, that would be fine.
I'm happy to make either or both of those motions. Sometimes these things, because they're dictated by Mass General Law, require some specific language. Is it sufficient just to say that we want to adopt the trust as written, or do we need to do something?
Vote to accept Chapter 32B, Section 20. And then after that, we'll do the transfer.
Thank you, Mr. Gingras. Mr. Chairman, I would move to accept Mass General Law, Chapter 32B, Section 20. So moved.
On the motion, any comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilors McGinn.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move to transfer $250,000 from Employer Health Trust, account number 500-32113, to the OPEB Trust, account number 500-32153. So moved.
An amount of $250,000 on the transfer. On the motion by Councilor McGinn, any comments? Seeing none, roll call.
Councilors McGinn.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
The last item on the agenda this evening are statements of interest. The reason these are on the agenda this evening is the filing deadline for our statements of interest for both the West and South School is tomorrow. So, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, councilors. Happy Valentine's Day to each of you. Here tonight is that time of the year to review and submit statement of interests for different school projects to the Mass School Building Authority, the MSBA. To remind you, there are two forms of application. The first form to the MSBA is what's called the Accelerated Repair Program. That's for windows, roofs, boilers. Those are the projects that would be submitted under the Accelerated Repair Program. Those applications are due tomorrow, February 15th. The second form of application is under the core program. That's for really major additions, major renovations, possible new school. That is under the core program. That filing or application deadline is April 12th. Certainly front and center on that submittal to the MSBA will be Peabody High School, as well as the continuation of our work at the center school, which is also necessary. But today we're submitting under the Accelerated Repair Program for 2 roofs at the elementary schools. Jim Hafey, who is out of state at a family event, unable to be here, but he's done an extensive review of all of our systems at the schools, roofs, windows, boilers, and I think if the council would set up a future meeting, I think a lot could be learned from Jim Hafey and his report when he's back from a family vacation. But today we're submitting for 2 roofs. One is the South Memorial School, which, as you know, is the oldest school in the city, 1950. A new roof is necessary at that building, as well as the West Elementary School. Both of those schools are in desperate need of new roofs to eliminate concern about water getting into the classroom, getting into the school. I'm joined today from the school committee with Beverly Griffin Dunn, Joe Amico, but both of these projects were unanimously approved by the school committee, advocated by Kara Mertag, superintendent, and her staff, as well as the 2 communities of the South School and the West School. We do have from the South School Principal Dr. Mark Higgins here today as well. The West School principal is unable to be here due to a family issue, but certainly these are both important for those communities. We wanted to submit those applications tomorrow and put forth a good effort to get those projects approved and partner with the MSBA on those projects. Right now, we're still at approximately 56.14% reimbursement on all projects. That is our reimbursement rate, and we'll be moving forward with those projects, which Jim Hafey has estimated approximately $800,000 for the South School and approximately $1.2 million for the West School. Those would be the cost of those projects, and again, those are just estimates that he's made, and we would be entitled to reimbursement of 56.14%. But certainly we think those are worthwhile projects as we continue to try to extend the life as best we can for our elementary schools moving forward. Happy to answer any questions.
For councilors who haven't been here in the past, the MSBA requires a statement of interest be filed in advance of any decision on providing funding. So a vote to advance a statement of interest today does no more than tell the state that you're interested in being in the program, and that if you're so selected, then the next part of the procedure is usually some type of a needs assessment, a formal estimate, and then a vote for bonding. So you're not voting for any money today. This is just basically to tell the state we're interested. Any questions? Council Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mayor, for your explanation. I did not know that the South School was the oldest school in the city. I went there, and I was pretty close to 1950. But I want to thank School Committee Member Beverly Griffin Dunn for being here, and School Committee Member Joe Amico, and Dr. Higgins. Thank you so much. How many students go through are at the South School, Dr. Higgins?
Excuse me. If you include the preschool program, the Paso Savante, we have 470 students.
470, wow. And approximately the same number at the West, Mr. Mayor?
No, the South is one of our larger schools. The West is under 300.
Okay. So it's a good investment in the future, because when those folks aren't going anywhere, and we need to fix the buildings. So I'm totally supportive, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Councilman Minnie-Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the mayor. Mayor, you had mentioned the center school. Did we put that forward as a SOI last year, and is it in the queue? Is it approved and waiting?
Good question. So we submitted 2 statement of interest for the core program last year. One was for the Welch School, new window project, as well as a new heating system project. And the second was the center school for a feasibility study. The Welch School was approved, the center school was not. So I think certainly we'll be taking that up in the school committee very shortly, but I expect that we will reapply for that. However, I did in our capital request that I've made to the council that I think we're going to be hearing at an upcoming meeting, I did put forward a request to go ahead and fund the study ourselves. It's about $50,000 to $75,000. In checking with the MSBA, they would be supportive of that and would still qualify us for a future partnership. But I'm concerned about the center school, and I think we need to move forward with the feasibility study sooner rather than later. So to answer your question, the Welch School was approved, and I can certainly give an update on that. The center school feasibility study request or application was not approved.
Thank you, Mayor. Are there any other comments? I'll make a motion to support the statement of interest from the school committee for the West and South Memorial School roofs for a statement of interest to the state. So moved.
For the motion by Council Manning Martin. Any questions? Council McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the motion, I know in the past, and I don't know if this has to happen in committee or if it has to happen at your report out, we needed the entire motion, and the language is here. So can we bypass that at this point and do that at the...
Yeah, I think we're looking for the consensus of the Finance Committee to accept the statement, and then we'll report the motion, report it out.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
On the motion, any further questions? Being none, roll call.
Councilors McGinn.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Any further business before us? Seeing none, motion to adjourn.
Thank you, council.